Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Just the Guys. Well, just the guy. Tonight, they have me flying solo, I guess. While JP is out, he is away visiting family, and we send our best wishes out to Chad, who's still not back with us. He'll be back soon. God bless. I did try and reach out to some of the other people, some of the other gentlemen and scholars involved with MCM to see how if I could get them to come on. They were all indisposed. So here I am a little late tonight, but I'm Gimpy. If you don't know me, I work here at MCM with everyone. The ladies just had their show tonight, Poppin' Politics. They were amazing. It was a calmer show than last week, definitely. We'll get into the different topics they talked about, a little review. But first, I want to just mention that we clearly had a crazy night because this evening, our friend, the guest last week, decided she wanted to uh, continue the conversation by posting over the 4th of July. And they seemed to have an interesting and intense discussion that eventually was taken down for the most part by the moderators in the group. But if you read her post, she accuses Metro conservative media of taking down a post they have no control over in terms of the forum in which it was posted. So this lady still hasn't let go of being triggered by the ladies on the show. Clearly, this lady has issues. Crazy would be the word I would assign to it. But hey, this is a free country. If you want to vote for her and you live in her district, feel free to vote for her. But after having dealt with her the little bit that we have over here, I would strongly suggest that you won't. Yeah, KJ, it was definitely not a good look for her. To be fair, she's an odd bird. I mean, like, she's not a bad person. I don't think she's malicious. I just think she's off her rocker because she claims that she wants to be the Republican platform and she wants to bring back the Republican from the ultra conservative, and ultra conservatives are a risk and a threat, and the ultra religious are a threat to the party. What are you trying to conserve exactly? You're pro everything that is part of progressive platform, basically. The only thing I can see is that you like Reagan style small government. God bless. We wish her the best over here. She made a impact. We had a great show last week, high intensity. I mean, I thought it went off the rails totally, but the viewers loved it. We got tons of positive feedback, like KJ was saying, and it worked out really well. So, Monica Smearman, shout out to you for helping us reach out to a bigger audience. I mean, keep adding to the conversation with your insanity on Facebook, based on the feedback we got over here. Truth be told is you have a huge fan base, and I say that in the nicest way I can think of possible, because people love you. It was unprecedented. It was insane. Again, people love you, Monica. You just keep up that hard work. These are not the Republicans you're looking for. It's a terrible use of a Star Wars quote. Anyhow, let's move on to tonight's show, because they covered some really important stuff, honestly, in my opinion. The first topic they talked about was the lawsuit that is being brought against the Baltimore City public school system. This evening, I'm not going to rehash what the ladies talked about, but this evening before the show, I was talking to the boss man, and I was asking him some questions, because in civil court, it's damages. It comes to something that has to be equated to a dollar value, because there has to be some sort of reparation. You have to make right when they prove in the lawsuit that they didn't follow their own standards, they didn't keep their own rules of oversight. How do we get them to, make it right? The talks of assigning some oversight through the court, monitors to make sure that the school board and things that are being done will not be repeated and so forth. But again, what happens when they don't do that and they don't meet those criteria? What's the negative impact the court can judge? I mean, there are a lot of questions. This is an unprecedented type of lawsuit that they're coming from. that they're bringing and that they're trying to get, especially there's no financial ask in the lawsuit. They literally have no monetary damage listed in the suit. It's an open-ended. They're literally looking for oversight and for the school board to do their actual job and the school system in Baltimore to do its job and help these kids. But I have my worries, my concerns, questions how you make that into a reality in a system that's, you have the mayor cheering on the leader of a failing system, claiming that their leadership is going to get you better results than the last 6 years, 7 years. I mean, if I lived in Baltimore and I had kids going to that school system, I would 100% be worried that my kids aren't learning jack shit, as is clear by everything we've seen to date. And to fix it, they're going to have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. I hope, like Yana said, this is just the beginning of this lawsuit, and there's a lot more to come. The ladies, they made some really great points about it tonight as well, and we hope to see in the future that this lawsuit produces results for the students of Baltimore City. Yeah, we can start with accountability. I mean, if they feel they are holding themselves accountable, that's the problem. You have him sitting up there praising the CEO, and she's not producing results. It's insanity. It's literally like living in denial. You're the best leader we ever had in the worst 7 years we ever existed. I mean, it's as absurd as the pop-off that they dropped standardized testing. I mean, they didn't drop it because it's going away. It's not like they're removing it. It's University of Maryland. I read articles about it. They specifically say that the individual university can still require it. It's just not a standard across the board for the University of Maryland, franchise of schools, whatever they call it, the system of colleges that are state sponsored in the state of Maryland. It's not being forced upon them at the state level. They have the individual university right to decide. They don't take education seriously anymore in this country if it's not in a place where the parents aren't in the business of it. Yeah, I agreed. I mean, I take standardized tests all the time for my real job. That's why I say that. It's like you can't just arbitrarily say that there's some sort of bias in the testing. Honestly, if everybody studies the material, everyone can get the same result. I've seen people of all backgrounds pass all sorts of standardized testing. I agree. It makes no sense. We've reached an absurd point in history where the world is crazy and everybody wants clown universe results. It's terrifying when you think about it and have to talk about it, especially monologue to a camera. Anyhow, moving on. I don't want to sit there and focus. I hate talking about the failing school system because that's the scariest indicator of how truly fucked we are as a society in the future, is we can't educate our own children properly, that they learn facts and not insanities that change with the whim of political leanings. It just never ends if we do this. We're just going to drive ourselves into the ground. The socialist school system. I agree. But the next topic that they moved into was, what are you saying, KJ? Oh, what about the state of free? Thank you, KJ. So for me, the 4th of July, and it's funny because in the pre-show, and Yana might get mad at me because I'm about to talk about this, but in the pre-show when the ladies were going on about their things, and I didn't understand what Yana was saying, to be fair, I gave her hell about it because I said, as conservatives, we can't sit here and say negative things about the 4th of July. The 4th of July is an important holiday. It has to be commemorated because this is the freest, safest country on earth, and it has been for quite some time. No matter how screwed up it is, it's still less screwed up than the rest of the world on so many levels. And I'm not going to sit here and fight with anyone about it, but really simple. The UK today has no freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech. For everything that's wrong in our country, we still have the right to sit here and get on live stream and say it. In other countries that are supposedly as free as us, you can't. And this isn't Belarus or Russia or Hungary or Brazil that we're talking about. We're talking about countries that we stand with arm in arm and allies and threaten other countries for not being free. So, the 4th of July is important because despite being pompous, white, old, rich, slave owning men, there is a genius to what they created. To quote With Honors, that movie, they knew that they didn't know everything, so they made the Constitution changeable. They made it flexible enough that the future could be accounted for, while making a system that created a balance, the best that we've done to date, to keep all the branches in check and keeping our liberties our liberties. We hear a lot about stuff like the founding fathers didn't want people to have AR-15s, for example. That's not true. They wanted you to have a cannon because our entire initial Navy is private vessels with private owned weapons. I mean, militias were private armies raised by the state, farmers who got together with their buddies. And, the people we make fun of as weekend warriors, that's who the militias were in this country when we fought for freedom. So we can sit here and knock all these non-woke people who made this country, but you wouldn't have the ability to be woke and sit here and criticize if those rich white dudes, slave-owning fat asses, didn't do what they did. We'd still be bowing to the throne and not being guaranteed our rights. No matter how much we fight over what those are, we still have them. Whereas in other countries, by edict, they take them away day in and day out. Our country, despite the claim that it's falling apart, its democracy, we don't have the Boris Johnson level evacuation of the senior staff of government because they can't handle the embarrassment that man is to their country. Yeah, there's a big fear that monarchy will come back. I mean, that's what the rich always want. But that's not true. KJ, so this is what KJ's saying. I mean, this is not true. It's absolutely not true. First of all, I can do the plug right now for the Tuttle Twins because the first book in the Tuttle Twins series is called The Law. And this book is all about that laws have to be moral. Government can't make an immoral law and expect us to follow it. Click the link, support the channel, get your kids these books. These books are important. They will teach your kids the things school is not doing and in a way that they can absorb it. It's good for you adults if you don't know anything either. Get these Tuttle Twin books. Important. But the fact is that that's wrong. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. 100% you are supposed to have morality, and morality is supposed to be something that is not fluctuating. It's supposed to be a fixed idea. Murder is always supposed to be wrong. Robbery is always supposed to be wrong. The exceptions that make the rule there's a reason there's that turn of phrase, exception that makes the rule. It's not supposed to be that you make an exception from the rule every single time to fit your mood, like abortion. Like, I'm 100% a pro-lifer, but I understand that in a society that's secular, that isn't run by religious law, absolutely, you have to have things like abortion, but they have to be controlled. It can't be what it was in the 80s and 90s. It's exactly where it was supposed to stay, and you wouldn't have had this argument. They would have never revisited Roe v. Wade if you would have left it safe, rare. What was it? The 3 words. It's now I can't remember, so I look stupid, but it's for rape, for incest, for a medical condition. And don't sit there and think when they tell you these things, these are like majority of the abortions. They're not. Statistically, they're the smallest group. So you don't make the rules around it, but you understand it has to exist to support this because it happens enough that it's a real thing. And I am pro-life. To me, it's infanticide. You're killing a life. The minute a baby is conceived, it is conception. Oh, and by the way, Monica Smearman, let's just point out, you did say, we have it on film, that a heartbeat at those early weeks is just a complicated series of electrical signals and not a heartbeat. So all those comments that you've been laying out there into the internet right now, trying to disrespect the ladies of this channel who work hard every week to bring people quality show, safe, legal, and rare. Anyhow, quality show. The truth is you're the one who said that, and no, you don't believe life starts at conception. You made that abundantly clear. So, stop double speaking and stop talking trash about people all over the internet because you are triggered. Anyhow, like they're pointing out to me, it's safe, legal, and rare. That's what it's supposed to be, and that's what it should be. And there would have never been a revisit of Roe v. Wade. The reason why it's that is because the 80-20 rule couldn't be followed. That's it. They had to give them an inch, take a mile, whatever you want to say. They did that over and over and over. It's never enough. That slippery slope, they talk about it when you legalize gay marriage. No, the slippery slope is when, if you want to go back far enough, is the fact that we stopped asking questions about sexuality as a part of everyday life. I'm sorry. It's not about women's right to have sex freely. It's about the fact that we shouldn't want to be having sex freely. Sex shouldn't be primarily a form of entertainment, because all we've done since we made that is that we forced it to become an excuse for all the things awful we have to do. I have to kill my baby because I want to be able to sleep with whoever I want to. I want to sexualize children because I want to feel good as an adult about my sexual behavior choices that are outside the norm. I want to normalize the most deviant and disgusting things just so that I can feel better about myself every morning. And it all starts with the fact that we want sex to be consequence-free. That's the slippery slope. Life has a consequence in everything. You want to sleep with a girl, or you want to sleep with a dude, or you want to sleep with a non-binary person or a trans person, you have to accept the risk of what comes with that. And what comes with that is possibility of pregnancy, possibility of STD, possibility of smoking cigarettes. I forget what movie. I think it's Demolition Man, where he talks about it, where Sylvester Stallone's character talks about having sex because they have the sex with the helmets and they don't ever touch each other. Sex has consequences, and we have to stop behaving that all of society can alleviate us of these consequences so we can just have fun and no consequences with sex. That's the slippery slope. Everything generates from that. That's my 2 cents on it. Anyhow, the 4th of July was, as silly as this sounds, the 4th of July is important. Celebrating it is important. Recognizing these things are important, because this is the country that a person like me can get on the internet and sit and rant at the air, old man shouting at cloud, and there's no Gestapo or FSB coming to my door because I said something disrespectful to the government, like Biden is a tool. The masses want a benevolent king. We talk about this a lot, Yana. Of course they do. Everybody wants to be ruled because it's easier not to be responsible for your decisions. When you can blame the king and the nobles, it's much simpler. That's the price of our freedom, is personal responsibility. You can't trade safety for security because you literally get neither. That's a fact. These people didn't say these things because they're like quibs. Like they didn't live in the internet age where 180 characters is a essay. These are people who took the time to read books and talk to scholarly other people and exist. I mean, we have the laziest, most easygoing society, and we complain about everything. I mean, I went out to dinner the other night, and the people we went out with, they complained that we couldn't get the table they exactly wanted, but it was because there weren't enough waitresses to work, or waiters, service staff to work all the tables. There's a labor shortage. And instead of making it easier for the place so that they could serve us better, they had to pitch a fit. They had to be unchill about it. Like, we have to reach a point in history where we recognize that's not how it works. And we have to work as a country again on those terms, that like we want functioning results, not self-serving results. Our lives have to mean more than just a handful of series of events that make us feel better. There has to be more purpose. A teacher when I was in college once said, we were talking about generational life, and they said in America there would never have been an opportunity for the Great Wall of China to be built, because we don't operate generationally. It's the downfall of capitalism. The fact is that we operate in an instant gratification mode that gets worse because we get paid for it. Capitalism promotes instant gratification. Yes, people will work hard, put a lot of time into it, but it's to get the shortest path to get to the payday. That's why so many people are screwed up when they make it big, because they've made so many compromises to get there. They forgot where their soul was, or to stay there. I mean, how many of these celebrities were really this insane before they got to celebrities? They're convinced that this is what they need to do to keep getting paid, or to use their platform to better the world in a place that Yeah, I'm a fully born citizen. I was born here. I'm a second generation. Hell, my mother was born on the way from Nazi Germany to here. She's a citizen by default because she was born coming into the country. My old man was born here too, both New Yorkers. Oh, am I fully born? What does that even mean? You have the. Oh, she's quoting Monica. Dude, that woman is insane. Like, dude, I already am dumber from that interaction with you because she said that. Like, that woman, I'm sorry, like, that woman is outrageous. This woman wants to be an officer of representing the Republican Party, but she's willing to throw out half the Republican Party saying they don't belong here. Oh, I get it. I get it. She's just like, that makes no sense. Like, I want to respect this lady. I do, because she's someone who's trying to make a difference. It's not malicious what she's trying to do. Yeah, and you know what? Her thing with fully born, like, I don't want to keep talking about her, but like, sh- people just need to pay attention to who we elect in office. It's very important that we are educated about our choices and we don't pick because it has a party name or whatever. Look, I was a big Trump supporter both times. And if he ran in 2024 again and there was a primary, him and DeSantis, hands down, I'd vote DeSantis. I mean, it's on the simple principle. Look what they did to this country to get rid of him the first time. What will they do to get rid of him the next time? Why are we even considering putting our country through that just in the name of a gotcha to say Trump got back into office? No one's saying he wasn't good, and I don't. Of course, I miss $1.87 gas and none of our people getting taken by other countries and people being returned. I mean, this thing with the WNBA lady, Brittany Greer, is that her name? How do you pronounce it? Whatever. If someone here to correct me. I mean, it would have never happened. It's not a question of Trump would have gotten her back. Russia wouldn't have never arrested her. They would have just sent her on her way. They don't want to know because everyone was afraid, including his own staff, that he would nuke somebody. It's not a joke. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. The world should fear that the American leader is willing to use all the tools at his disposal. Maybe they feared him too much because he was probably a little too willing from what we know. But again, if it was him and DeSantis, I'd pick DeSantis every time. I want a politician who can get the job done and understands how the government works and doesn't need the yes man or the handlers that they surround themselves with to get through the day. That's the huge difference between DeSantis and Trump that no one's really willing to say out loud, is that DeSantis doesn't need his handlers to get through the day. Trump does. I mean, we see that in how he made choices in the White House. We have historical evidence. He did not handle certain things well because he didn't have good handlers that knew how to handle him. We know because people got away with lying about the troops in Syria. You naturally become a citizen when you're born because that's the only time that you become registered on paper. But you, as an unborn baby in many states, and as you even agreed to be, and try to argue the point that it's at varying points in the pregnancy, depending the state that you're in, you're charged with murdering, that you count as a life. So it's even before you're born, you have rights because people can be charged for terminating your life prematurely, including if you want to count abortion laws now that ban it and hold people accountable. Even then, it validates. It makes the overturn of Roe v. Wade allowed for the fact that states can even more clearly define an unborn baby's rights. And she's here because I'm talking about her because she's been a part, they've interacted all week. She is 100% triggered by the whole interaction because you think that your concept of republicanism, which is, as far as I can tell, left of Hogan, is the future of the Republican Party, except for the fact that the guy Trump brought in more individual people under a populist nationalist concept for the Republican Party and using the Christian evangelical right as the hard base to it than any other Republican ever has. So for someone who voted for Trump, you don't really understand who you voted for. What's up, Giovanni? I mean, like, let's be very clear, Monica. You talked to the ladies. You didn't have to talk to us, and I appreciate the nice comments you made after the guy show saying like we're a little more common sense. But if you had to be in a room with me, Giovanni, and Chad, you would have never been able to run for office for dog catcher. These ladies were nice to you compared to what you would have been through by us. because we're much more down to earth onto what we're going to come at you for. And what you said, half of the shit you said, you contradicted in your next statement. And if the worst thing that you're going to be upset about, is that they picked on your hair, just remember you chose to have that hair. You had to assume some people would take it the wrong way. The same way my fashion choices and my choices about how I keep myself, they would take it the wrong way too. Be triggered by that, that's ridiculous. That's a sign of weakness. You want to be strong, you laugh at people who make fun of your hair. I just want to be clear. Because again, I don't have anything personally against you. You want to make a difference, but you're willing to discard half the party in some crusade to sound worse than Liz Cheney. You understand that that lady's losing by like 40 points to some no name. Like, all because she had to be the never Trump part of the ring. Hogan is going to have a horrible wake up call when he runs for president that he won't win the primary in Maryland as a Republican because he wrote in Ronald Reagan, filmed it, and put it in. That's going to be the sin that sinks that man. Okay, I mean, but you had to assume that someone eventually, it's not like you made a choice that is controversial. If nothing else, there would be like insane African American people who might take it as cultural appropriation. Like we live in the wokest day and age, and you're just being unrealistic that that's the thing that's going to trigger you. You didn't even say that she called you a slave master in all your ranting. I mean, that's the thing I would have stuck on, is that KJ called you a slave master. But hey, look, that's your choice. You get to make those choices of what you want to be offended, because we're free here. Because those rich, white, pompous, slave owning dudes that you think were not religiously and morally bound to their Judeo Christian belief system. First of all, let's be very clear. The first enemy the United States had was the Trinidad Pirates, and they were fundamentalist Islamic people attacking America because they were fundamentalist Islamic people. That's not propaganda. That's history. You want to read a book about it? Brian Kilmeade writes a book about it. Feel free. You're a very reading type person. That's the book you can read. But the fact is that like half of the stuff you said is all cherry picking history and ignoring like the essence of the documents you're posting. It's like, let's be very clear. You think that republicanism is one thing, and I think everyone else in the party thinks it's another thing. I'm sorry, General Savage. What are you saying? Way to say you're talking about those retro white slave owners. Hey, I'm one of those fellas. Can we talk about this? Can we have a dialogue? I don't really understand what you're trying to say, but that's okay. Anyhow, so moving on from that insanity. So the next topic that they talked about in tonight's show was the shootings and why we have these crazy mass shootings and stuff. So first of all, everyone has an idea or a reason why they think that these mass shootings happen. The truth is that I don't really understand what you're saying, General Savage. Um, anyhow, like we have no people want to think that we have no idea, and we come up with these broad concepts like community and mental health, fallout from the pandemic. The truth is that it's everything. I mean, we've been moving in this direction where how many times like road rage is normalized now. It's just being mean to anyone we disagree with is being normalized now. The truth is like I would have dialogue with Monica, or I would have dialogue with anyone that I would arguing. Um, okay, so people held slaves long after. Yeah, that's a lot of Belinda. Those are a lot of reasons why there are problems, but it's a lot of things. It's more than that. It's a society as a whole. We have no longer are holding on to any sense of beyond, like Western society is all about the I and me. Uh, okay, sorry. We have someone in the chat totally confusing me because I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, and clearly I'm not successful at either. But the reason why these mass shootings are happening because as a society we no longer have a basis to what we want as a whole moving in the direction. Rome wanted to conquer the world. Hell, the Germans multiple times wanted to conquer the world. Yeah, that's true. Morality and religion are shunned, that we have problems like that, but religion did it to itself. It's not like religion is innocent. I mean, Yana, you showed me today another reason to prove why religion isn't innocent. It's not like religious institutions upheld their own moral and belief system and properly persecuted anyone within their systems of power that broke the rules. I mean, there isn't a religion that isn't in trouble for like not living up to its own height. Yeah, we'll have to do that one time, General Savage. But the fact is that religion is its own worst enemy because people believe and have faith, but organized religion has made that like the biggest problem on earth. It gives Monica a reason to hate because organized religion has continuously caused problems for for the world, for the country, for everyone. Because like right now, you have Catholicism tearing itself apart because there's a pope who's a socialist, and many right-wing conservative Catholics don't want to. I can define a woman. It's a person with an XY chromosome or X, whatever. I'm getting it backwards now, of course, right? Like now I'll get it wrong. So let me look it up. Yeah, so XX figure uh XX chromosome is what a woman is. Thank you, Edith. But the truth is, at the end of the day, like we are living in a society right now where all the things that are supposed to help cause problems. I mean, the government is not doing its job properly, and it hasn't been. It doesn't matter who's the president. I mean, the director of the CIA generally calls the president the temporary, the guy in the chair. There are way more important people than the president in this country. People are naive to think that lifetime appointments or people who have been working inside the civil and DOD side of the government for 50 years aren't more influential than a guy who's there for 4, 8 years tops, on average 6 years or whatever. Our presidents stay in office. So I don't have any faith that if people aren't willing to hold the government accountable, like I hate that thing that people used to say when I was younger. The joke was in politics, everybody in Washington is crooked except for the guy I voted for. Now we're living that form of tribalism. I mean, we got to get away from that. All right, this dude General Savage is one weird dude. Anyhow, um, then you have religious institutions. They definitely haven't done themselves any favors over the last 100 years across the board. Lady, you said that the ultra religious, like the ultra right, which is primarily the ultra religious form of the Republican Party, is the enemy. They're destroying the party. You clearly do have a problem with the religious. I mean, like you gotta, like you've participated in many denominations of Christianity over in your 40 plus years. My question to you is at any point for any of them did you actually commit your soul to like following the edicts and the morality? Because half of the stuff you say, those different denominations say no, like are prohibited. So Like, again, you're a very interesting lady. I would love to have a conversation with you off the air. And the truth is that there are people who stand in your corner. There is the Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, whatever wing of the Republican Party. I mean, the Lincoln Project, I'm sure, loves you, but the fact of the matter is you're willing to write off half of the party you're running for votes from. Like, what does that mean exactly? Because you make it seem like the people you're talking about is this small contingent, but it actually is overwhelming percentage of people on the right. Like, it's pro-life is like one of the biggest pro-school choice. Like, you're like a Reagan era Republican, like that morphed with a leftist and tried to find a happy centrist out of it. That's what your stances are. And you claim that literally half the party you want to represent in your district is unacceptable to the party. It is. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the massive pro-life movement. It's huge. Monica, the people who support you are leftists and liberals. They in that argument, they are not Republicans. Republicans are overwhelmingly pro-life. It's like you're insane to even sit there and try and say that. Otherwise, there would be no ability to have it gotten to where it got to, that Roe v. Wade got overturned. Like, you literally, your policies are left of our governors, and you want to save the party. You want to like discount. I could spend a week talking about this, and it would still not be enough, because you think you're on some mission to save something that doesn't need to be saved the way you think it needs to be saved. There are plenty of things that need to be fixed in the Republican Party. What you're talking about isn't it. Yes, right. So you're trying to get 53% of Democrats in your district to vote for you. But the problem is it's a closed primary. So you need to get that 23% of Republicans to vote for you in the closed primary. That being said and done, of that 23%, I'm guaranteeing you 80% of those people are pro-life. Like, let's be serious. Where are your policies left of Hogan? You told people, we have feedback where they tell us that you told them you want lockdowns. That's where you're left of Hogan. Whatever you're going to say now, we have from people who you talked to during COVID. What are you talking during COVID that you want lockdowns, that you support vaccinations? Like, you got to be kidding me. You're left of Hogan. Hogan is a better choice than you are, and I hate that man. Anyhow, yeah, and CRT, I know, KJ. I know. I'm not spending my whole time tonight talking to her. It's like you should have her on the 8:30 show so you can one-on-one interview her so that it can be a conversation. So, okay, let's be clear. You are not going to win that district. You are not even close to winning that district. And you talk about it, but you are the ones who threaten and tell people to be scared and discount half of the party you're running for. Like, why are you running as a Republican? What makes you? Yes, you do. You have a whole thing about teaching what's the history of our. It's all a way to spin getting the CRT into the classroom. You also believe in LGBT being taught to elementary school kids based on what you said last week. So, like, come on, lady, you are not representative of the party you're running for. Why don't you just run as a Democrat? You have a better chance of winning, honestly. I'm sure there are more small government Democrats than there are pro-choice Republicans. You're ridiculous. You have a whole educational video about CRT and how it should be taught on your thing, like a panel that you were on. And we have testimonials from people of what you told them at events and things where you spoke about your platform stances. I mean, you are the most loved in your district. You got to be kidding me, woman. You really got to be kidding me. You talk like you walk around bulletproof. You're not. I'm sorry. You want Democrat votes. Yeah, okay, good. That doesn't mean you have to teach 6-year-olds about sexuality. You want to believe that we should teach her? I don't have any problem with this. If this was an actual for face value statement, I would 100% sit here and say that's the smartest thing you ever said. But that's not a face value statement. You made that statement as a cover because there's no one. I never had a teacher in elementary school. Forget about any other school. In elementary school, I never had a teacher that I knew about their private life. No teacher had a picture on their desk of their husband. They didn't talk about their families. They were the teacher. We used to make jokes. Why can't you grade the test right now? You shouldn't have a life. You're a teacher. Teachers don't do anything but teach. It's not our jobs as adults and the teaching role, because I was a teacher a long time ago, for our students to know what we do off the books. We're there to teach the curriculum. If I'm a computer science teacher, then that's what I'm there to do. If I'm a health teacher, I'm there to teach health. I'm not there to teach about my personal life, sexuality, and how I went to a picnic with my family who happens to be my... I'm sorry. It's like, let's be clear. You are pro a lot of things that you try and package in a way so they're not offensive, but they are super offensive to anybody with any sense of morality. You want to teach people that this, for all the mistakes in this country, you can't let go of the fact that there are mistakes. Like, that's the incessant need to teach the horrible, horrible to the small children. You want to teach that stuff to kids in high school or whatever, fine. But this emphasis that you want to keep teaching the worst parts of education to the smallest so that you feel good about some moral victory you get, that's a fail. There's no need to teach sexuality to elementary school kids. There's no need to teach the non-propaganda version of education to small children, history of the country. Everybody should grow up to be a patriot and love the country. When you're old enough to understand the difference to that what happened then versus what we do now, that's something else. You want to talk to high school kids about how the failings and the moral ineptitudes of the government, fine. They're in a position that their brains can actually understand it properly. But you don't at all teach those things to small children, because you have to give positive messaging across the board without creating some convoluted mess where they grow up to hate their own nation. It's not. It's that you really believe that we should teach the worst of the worst about our nation's history to small kids. That's the problem. I don't have a problem with trying to teach a high schooler that we had many flaws as a government and we still have flaws as a government. But anywhere, I do not see you saying that no matter what our flaws are, that to that point we still can be the greatest, most awesome nation on earth that we are. Because we are. Because that me and you can have this argument through the internet and there's no Biden police coming through my door. Because you said as much. You say as much. We have the testimonials from people. Like, it's not just that what we experienced with you or what we did our digging through your pages and stuff when we brought you on the show. It's that the feedback that we got. We have never gotten feedback. You should understand this. I'm one of the people who actually has to pay attention to that stuff for MCM. So I will make this very clear. In the year and a half plus that I've been working with these ladies, and I've been a part of this awesome project of really high moral, good people. And yes, they disagree and say some fucked up shit sometimes, but they're all really good and decent people. And they put a good show forward. That this is the most feedback we have ever gotten. And let me tell you, people do not like you, period. They do not like you. I don't want to be a dick or whatever. There are people who told us we were too nice to you. And the show was totally off the rails, where no one let anyone talk for a good portion of it. So, like, let's be very clear. There were people out there who thought you got too little from us. Yeah, you like that, like, wording, but define how that is. Explain the lesson plans that cover. Does that mean a sixth grader needs to know? Like, I'm serious. Like, people, and I don't want to talk about the individuals because it's not my position to talk about the people, but I am telling you, we got a massive amount of feedback, and none of it was nice. And even the people who stood up for you, they didn't even stand up for you. They just said talk smack about the ladies. They just said that the ladies were less. They didn't even say any good things about you. I have yet to read one piece of feedback that says something nice about you. Everyone says you're a double talk, snake in the grass person. And I'm not saying it because I dislike you. I don't know you, but I'm making it clear. Okay. Look, Monica, I wish you luck in your race. If you can get enough Democrats to vote for a Republican that isn't a Republican, congratulations to you. But you're trying to flip a seat that I don't know the last time it was read. And again, you probably would have had more success running as a Democrat. We've heard that on this show before, too, where one of our guests says he ran as a Democrat because you can't win in Baltimore as a Republican. So, I mean, I've heard it all as far as I'm concerned from sitting in this chair behind the camera. And I hate that I turned this show tonight about you because honestly, I want to be done with you. But you're good for TV because you're the gift that keeps on giving. Anyhow, so I wanted to talk about other stuff from the show. I want to make a point of something I said. That state senator who's running for re-election, where she twerks. There was like people used to make fun of Trump, saying Trump didn't have presidential behavior. If we're gonna say, and people said, the supporters of Trump like me said he'll learn it or it's okay. It's the negative that all the other positives are worth it. Yeah, again, the ultra-right conservatives, define that group outside of those terms. Because if it's the people who are pro-life you have a problem with, that's a massive amount of your own party. If it's the people who are pro-school choice, what do you define that as? Are they the religious? Because the evangelical base is the largest part of the party. I mean, I'm not really sure. You like to use those catchy. You talk like a leftist, like a liberal, like a Democrat. You use these terms and you cannot actually define who falls into that group. The ultra right conservatives. You sound like dark MAGA or ultra MAGA. I mean, define that in a real practical sense. You're ridiculous. You are ridiculous. You are an unserious person. Anyone who takes you seriously after 10 minutes of talking to you has a low IQ, period. I don't have to like you. I don't even have to give you a chance anymore because you are the gift that keeps on giving. You keep coming back for more. That's how I know I'm right and you are fucking triggered. And you want to accuse the ladies of taking down a post that they were making fun of you, like that they're laughing at you in, on top of the fact it's in a forum that they have no administrative control over. Like, do you even hear yourself sometimes? Do you take 5 minutes to listen to your own bullshit that you go back and watch last week's episode? Listen to how a week later you're saying that life starts at conception, but we have you on tape saying that 8 weeks heartbeat is a complicated series of electrical signals. You are an unserious person. You are an unserious candidate. You are going to get shellacked by someone who can read and write. It's something else with you. Like I'm amazed. I really am amazed that this is the level. Twerking for votes, a black man fighting Klansmen with, it's not limited to the Democrats. Let's be clear. We have a black, I forget what it is. Someone showed it to me tonight from the show. It's some black man running for office, and he's fighting off the KKK with machine, or I saw it in Twitter or something, with AR-15s. And you got to be freaking kidding me, right? Like, we're literally, that the tweet, and it was in Twitter, the tweet's basically calling him out that you're literally validating, you're punching the check. Yes, the far right end of the Republican Party that want to make laws that subjugate our freedoms for their personal moral code. So does that mean pro-life? Like, specifically, are you saying pro-life? Because that is the overwhelming majority of Republicans. So that is not the far right end of the party, buddy. Okay? You're a clown. Because that is not a definition in any sense that holds true to the litmus test. If you mean pro-life, that is an absolute ridiculousness that you're saying, and you should count yourself unserious. It's not. She is talking leftist talking points. You may as well be a plant hanging out with that South Carolina lady. Anyhow, again, it's not limited to Democrats. Government has just reached the point where it's getting clicks. It's clicks for likes. It's votes for likes. It's like we equate getting votes for likes. And we have to reach it. We have to stop. We all have to grow up as a nation, because we're not going to have a nation much longer if we sit around. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but if then that's the laws that you're saying they're subjugating you on their moral code. It's not unconstitutional. Monica, the Supreme Court ruled that it goes back to the states, that the only way that they can guarantee it at a federal level is if the federal legislative branch passes a law. Otherwise, the court's ruling was unconstitutional. So I don't understand if you even have a clue what you're talking about, because you sound like an idiot now. The court basically ruled Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional, which makes the Roe v. Wade unconstitutional. Not what you believe, Monica. That is how our government works. Now the states individually have to decide. There are states like Maryland where it's enshrined in the state constitution, and there will be no change unless they get a constitutional amendment. There are states where they went instant into effect to bans from like the 12 weeks and later, which, by the way, most of Europe is 12 weeks and later. They don't have this post-term abortion and shit. You're insane, because that's what pro-life is. Yes, it does. There is no right to an abortion in the Constitution. That is what it means, because the Roe v. Wade initial decision is saying that there's a right, that included in the right to life is abortion. No, they're not. That is also false. Only one state currently has their ban stayed, and they're appealing it. Sorry, that is not true. They have lost. Initially, they're getting stayed, and then they're being overturned. Sorry. There is no federal constitutionality based on what we learned from Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs case now to a right to an abortion until they pass a law at a federal level that makes it so. Nothing that's on the books currently. I am sorry, Monica, stop playing games. Okay? You want it to be legal in all 50 states? Go campaign in all 50 states to get legislatures to pass laws to make it such. You are out of your mind, woman. You want majority of your party to be removed from your party. You want everyone who is pro-life and wants a ban on abortion after 12 weeks, clearly, to be out of the party because they are ultra-right conservatives. No matter how you want to spin it, that's what you're saying. Or anybody who is not about having homosexuality taught to elementary school kids. No, it is not expressly against. Abortion is murdering a baby. You still haven't justified that. You are totally out of your mind. There is nothing in the Declaration or the Bill of Rights that gives you a right to abortion. Keep trying. Like, again, I am not against the safe, legal, and rare aspect of it. I am pro-life. I get that. I am a reasonable person when it comes down to it, because I know that a portion of my country is like you, but they are called Democrats. Stop running for a party that you're not a part of. You're the odd one out. You are left of Hogan. You are further away from the never Trumpers. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are on a better ship than you are. I'm sorry. And you had the nerve to say you voted for Trump. You're trying to get that crew to think that you're one of them too. You're not a Trumper. Trumper is the guy who put the pro-life justices on the court to make sure this happened. You have no clue what you're talking about, Monica. You're insane. And this is why our country's falling apart, because people who think they're educated try and run for office and then spew nonsense like they have any idea of what's going on. By the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned, it was proven now, until there is a change, that there is no constitutional guarantee for a right to abortion. No, you have said it. Okay, lady, we have you on tape. We have people sending in testimonials of what you've told them at meetings. I mean, one guy talked about a 3-hour conversation you had with him, and he was very clear on how you double spoke your whole way through it. Lady, there is no constitutional right to abortion. There is no stopgap being removed. It was that the legislature never wanted to actually pass a law because they know how unpopular abortion after 12 weeks. Wait, that's state constitutions. That is not the Constitution of the United States. Do you not understand how this government works? Any state level cases will be about the unique state's constitution, Kentucky, Maryland, whatever. And majority of them are still good to go. An overwhelming majority of them. You keep making it like you have a clue. The federal system is a completely different constitution than the constitution for an individual state. Let's stop trying to convolute two different things. You're insane. Again, like, this is why people don't like you, because you want to quadruple down on how wrong you are. For what? The Supreme Court, there's precedent on Roe v. Wade, on Dobbs overturning it. What are they going to go back to the Supreme Court said to find out if there's a constitutional right for abortion? There it is. They won't see a case. It won't get the light of day. I hate to break it to you. You keep thinking that the Supreme Court's going to save you from it. You're not. Get used to the fact that you live in a world where people don't want to kill babies. I know it's really rough for you infanticide people, but people do not want to kill babies. I mean, you literally are the gift that keeps on giving. I wish we could get your opponents on the show. I wish we could get them. That would make my day if we could get your opponents on the show. Have them give their side of the thing and see how you all line up, because you all say the same thing, which makes you no different than your Democrat opponent, being you're running uncontested in your primary. I mean, people should be advocating to write in their mailman in the primary. You live in a state where it's not a problem to begin with, but on top of it, you really don't understand how it's going down. He's not the only one who came back to us. I hate to break it to you. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but relatives of yours hit us up, thanking us for exposing you. Like, you really are something else, woman. Something else. Dude, like, I'm very happy that you want to make the hill you want to die on is killing babies in the womb. You understand when you go to the next life, God. Oh, and by the way, I just want to point something out to you that you said about Judaism, that Judaism allows for abortion. So, like, to be clear, yes, all the irreligious forms of Judaism that don't follow all the rules of Judaism, will tell you that it's okay. But once you get into any sect of Judaism that actually follows the 613 for 613, they will tell you that the only time that an abortion is okay is when there's a risk to the mother's life, and the rabbi that they are beholden to gives them a heter, gives them a permission to get the abortion. There is no blanket okay for abortion. Jews aren't allowed to kill their babies in the womb, because the fact is that it's a life at conception, according to actual Judaism. But you want to talk to the conservative and the reform and the constructive Jews who all sit there and pick and choose. They literally cherry pick the rules of Judaism that they want to follow. You'll forgive me for being someone who speaks up and say that that's not Judaism. That's what people want Judaism to be, so they don't have to live with the burdens of actually having a yoke of being responsible to God. Okay? At least I'm willing to just straight out admit I'm an irreligious Jew. I don't need to make some excuse that I'm a halfway. I get it half right. People are insane. You want to kill babies, and you want that to be the hill you die on, and you want to go to the next life and talk to God and ask for your reward from this life after you have advocated for the murder of infants in the womb for any reason, with no limitation and no restriction, because it's your fundamental right to remove the life from you. That's disgusting. And every person out there who wants to sit there and say that, you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. I will gladly die on this hill. This is the hill I am willing to die for, to fight for the unborn. And guess what? I don't have to make my whole life about this argument either. I can go to work tomorrow and not care about my politics while I'm at work. For all those people out there who can't seem to turn it off when they're in the professional realm and their work life has to match their political life, that's also some insanity in this country I fucking hate. People out there every fucking day trying to get their job. Dude, you're there to get you it's a transaction. I get paid to do work. If I don't like what my company represents, I go get another fucking job. I'm not going to sit there and advocate for my company. The only thing people should be advocating for at their companies is that the company treats them good as employees and humans, and is fair and just to them in all cases, and treats everybody equally, and it's meritocracy. I'm sure you are. I read with them. You'll pick one line out, but then ignore two-thirds of the spirit of the document, Monica. Okay, or other comments where it's directly talking about our founding fathers had a firm understanding that a Judeo-Christian morality was what determines that our laws are just. Tuttle Twins book, Monica, you need to read this, because government isn't allowed to make laws that aren't just because we're not supposed to follow them. This clearly is a book that will help you understand that our founding fathers, without hesitation, insisted that the way the Judeo-Christian morality looked at things was the way our laws were structured morally. By the way, click on the link, get the book, support the channel. Let me take a minute to plug us. We're Metro Conservative Media. You can see us at metroconservativemedia.com. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/metroconservative. We have a Facebook page, Twitter. The ladies all have their own social media. We are in partnership with this Tuttle Twins book. We promote that everyone get it for their kids or for yourself if you're learning things in civics that you haven't learned before, economics. We have a partnership with a book we love here called Color, Communism, and Common Sense, which a lot of what Monica talks about is playbook out of that book. I'm sorry. Maybe you should read that, Monica. Color, Communism, and Common Sense. I recommend it to you. It might open your eyes. Okay, so am I. And they were very clear on that. Again, these are not people who were at all interested in a concept of homosexuality being a right or abortion being a right. Those men 100% did not think those things were rights. Anyhow, Another plug I want to give out there is to our friend Tyrone Keys, Soldier of Fortune, I think it is. I mean, KJ, what's his YouTube now called? But check him out, Tyrone Keys. He's possibly the smartest guy I have ever had a chance to converse with, and he has a great sense of humor, and he's a super sci-fi geek, which is a Soldiers of Finance. Thank you, Tyrone. He's in the audience tonight. Everybody check out that man's YouTube, Facebook. I mean, I learn shit from him every day, pardon the language, but when in the face of geniuses, Soldiers of Finance, you should respect a guy like Tyrone Keys. We also have oh man, what's the other guy? Oh man, I gotta look it up. Hold on. I don't want to get it wrong, because if I get it wrong, I look stupid. I already look stupid. He was on with us last week. Black Republican Theory. That's the other page. Check him out. Possibly one of the brightest legal minds of our generation. Everybody's got to check him out. Republican Black Theory on YouTube. Black Republican Theory. Thank you, EVC. This is what the ladies do. They keep me in check. Black Republican Theory. Check him out. He's another part of the family here at MCM. We have a partnership with him that we like to talk about. He helped, work together on content, so on and so forth. I will say this: if you ever want to have like the most savage sci-fi discussion, have some Star Trek conversations with Tyrone. That possibly one of the best Star Trek conversations I ever had. Again, I can't tell you enough. Check out Soldiers of Finance. This man will help you save your own self from your financial woes. All right. So, Monica, we also like to thank Monica. I mean, the gift that keeps on giving. You have, without a doubt, proven you are the number one fan. Number one fan. Toast to you tonight. But really, we like to thank everybody who tunes in, everybody who helps support us, everybody who's been there for us, everybody who's helping us with the lawsuit, Ben Crump. I mean, it's not our lawsuit, to be fair, but we have been a part of it from the beginning, covering it, being involved with the people, talking to them, trying to find out where it's going to go. Anyhow, at this point in the night, I just want to shift gears. We've had some negative, and I fought with Monica all night. So not the idea of what I had when I came on here solo. I was just going to talk about the ladies, but I will go back to one thing. It just was the 4th of July. We had our independence, and it's very important that we take the time to realize how blessed we are that we live in this country, that I can argue with a lady over the internet and not worry that someone's going to kick in my door, or that my livelihood is going to be destroyed. That's why cancel culture is such a horrible thing, because it undermines the true concept of what this country is the true exchange of dialogue and ideas. And I tried to demonstrate that tonight. I might have been a little aggressive and mean. I mean, I am pretty aggressive and mean sometimes, but I did try and respond to Monica talking to me in the chat as best a dialogue as I could make it. But the truth is that we are free to have these things. And thank you, KJ. And it's a blessing that a lot of us forget. We take it for granted. And I see it every day when you see these videos of people attacking service workers because they don't like that something costs too much, or people attacking each other in the streets, or people killing each other at a 4th of July parade or a Christmas parade. I mean, these are things that are showing the sickness in our society is coming to the surface in a way that we may never have known, and we have to stop. And we have to, you're welcome. We have to look back at what we're blessed with every day. We have to look at the friends, the family. I mean, I know how blessed I am. I have a job. I have a home. I have family that loves me. I have a woman that loves me. I have friends that support me in my time of need, and I can be there for as well. I get to hang out with KJ and stuff. That's kind of fun because she's wild at parties, in case you guys couldn't figure that out. And T and Shelly and Colleen, I've had the chance to hang out with all the ladies, and it's a blessing that I get to learn from them and hang out with them, because they are truthfully some of the most genuine people I ever met, some of the most unapologetic people too, which I love about them, but some people can't get over it, but I love it. Uh, and really, we have to take time every day and look at our blessings, because if we don't, we'll end up being absorbed by the hate in the world. Like, I'm blessed that I got to have the conversation tonight with Monica. It was a blessing, because in a different world, we don't ever have that conversation, and ideas aren't exchanged. I can't say that it was better or worse than that, but at least the ideas were exchanged. And on this last note, I just want to, say that for all those people who struggle with it, organized religion isn't believing in God. Organized religion is having a rule system that you require to believe in God. But for everyone, you should all take the time. I know it's tough and it's rough to hear this for a lot of people, but God is everywhere. God loves you. Even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you. And that's the most important lesson everyone needs to learn, is that there is no world without God. And on that note, I'd like to wish everyone a good night, and we'll catch you next week. And tune in tomorrow night for KJ's 8:30 show. I don't have who the guest is, but I do want to say I'm sure it will be awesome. Good night. God bless.